Chef Steve is here, coming to you with another video. In today's video, we are focusing on the game that hooked me into video games. My childhood sweetheart of video games. The one that reeled me in like a big fish. The one, the only, Space Invaders. Space Invaders Deluxe specifically was the machine that really started me on my way. I couldn't get off it. I didn't have a quarter after quarter, that whatever quarters I found went right into that machine. And there were plenty of other games out there at the time, but Space Invaders Deluxe, you couldn't pull me off it. A year or two later, the home systems, the Atari 2600 came out, and with it, the Atari 2600 Space Invaders. And wow, that revolutionized things for the time. Later on, I got my first computer, which was, yes, the Commodore VIC-20. That's why that has a special place in my heart. The version of Space Invaders on the Commodore VIC-20 was extraordinary. It was the best. So let's review the versions of Space Invaders that we are going to see here. We got the Atari 2600 version of Space Invaders, of course. Commodore VIC-20's Avenger. We have the Commodore 64 version of Avenger. We have here, this is a very good one, a very good port on the Super Nintendo. It's not emulation just thrown on a cartridge. This was a reprogram. This is up there with the VIC-20 version in my book. We also have two clones. Send in the clones. And we are going to send in Magnavox's stab at the Space Invaders genre, which is Alien Invaders Plus. And then finally, Mattel's on the Intellivision. Well, I don't have the Intellivision, as you know. I have the PlayStation, though. And with it, the Intellivision, what is this one? A collection of classic games. And on here is Intellivision Space Armada. That's Mattel's stab at Space Invaders. Also, by the way, as you know, I have the arcade 1-up version of Space Invaders. And I did own both. The original Space Invaders arcade machine and Space Invaders Deluxe. Unfortunately, very sad to say, the Space Invaders Deluxe machine suffered from a bad CRT monitor and a bad power supply. So I kind of had to do a little Frankenstein there, and I popped the motherboard out of the Deluxe machine and I put it into the original Space Invaders machine. It's got the Space Invaders background with the moon, while it has the Deluxe, actual graphics and sounds. Before we begin, before we delve into the home versions, why don't we first give a quick peek at the actual arcade versions, which I surely do own. Let's check those out. Here we have Space Invaders on the arcade 1-up. It's basically an emulation, make no mistake. And here we go, my friends. This is actually, well, you see the Space Invaders Deluxe bezel, but this is really the original Space Invaders machine itself. Anyway, my friends, let us begin, and let us start things off with the Atari 2600 version of Space Invaders. Alright, my friends, here it is, the legend, the Atari 2600 VCS Space Invaders. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this was like 1980 when this came out on the Atari. I was still in my single digits, 8 or 9, I don't remember, something like that. And this game was just mesmerizing. It was an amazing thing to see. Wow, playing Space Invaders at home on your TV. As a kid like that, I was blown away, right? And obviously this was a revolutionary game, right? It's really kind of got the video game market going, home video game market, on the move quickly. However, from a subjective point, although I really love the game, this version has certain classic and sentimental memories of it to me. I have to be honest, from an objective perspective, this is not that close to the arcade. I mean, very generally, yes, you're shooting invaders before they land. But let's be honest with each other. I mean, look at these graphics. These are not nearly resembling the invaders from the arcade. The mothership is not. Even your cannon is not. The shields are not. The sounds are not. Now again, this game is classic. There's no denying that. But again, I'm being objective here. You know, would you say this is an exact port to the arcade? I would say no. I would say it's good, but it is no carbon copy. You know, it feels like Space Invaders, but it doesn't feel like the arcade Space Invaders. Nonetheless, a fun game to play, a revolutionary game, really ushering in the era of home games. Okay, my dear friends and comrades of retro gaming, here is the beloved in my book, Commodore VIC-20 Vic Avenger. This came out about a year after the Atari Space Invaders. This came out around 1981, I believe. And, alright, I didn't get my hands on it until like 1983. It's around the time I got the VIC-20. But having this landing in your bedroom, your living room, your house, your basement, wherever, this is like getting the arcade machine, especially back in the early 1980s. I mean, look at the aliens, look at the invaders. They are drawn exact ditto to the arcade. The way they move, the way the bombs come down, the way the shields are when you wake up. The mothership, I'm having trouble hitting. There we go. I mean, everything here, your cannon, everything is well done. A well done port from the arcade. And of course, my only other complaint might be is that it's slightly wide, and that's only because of the resolution, the TV resolution back in the days. You know, that's just how it is. But the invaders, they're exact. The patterns are exact. And this is definitely something the Atari 2600 version didn't follow. I mean, the overall general rule of the game was there, but it lacked the graphics, even an attempt at the graphics, an attempt at the patterns. I mean, the scoring even, for that matter. Now here we have the Commodore 64 version of Avenger. And one would think it would at least be equally as good as the Commodore VIC-20 version. Sorry to say, it's not. Now, although the resolution's a little better, look at the invaders. They're not drawn right. Let's start a game here. I mean, shields are about right. Sounds are okay, you know. The VIC-20 sounds are okay. Look at the way they move. Look at the graphics on them. They're not how the arcade looks. I mean, they're close. They're close. I would have expected these kind of graphics on the VIC-20. Look at a mothership. It's like a triangle. I don't know. Mushroom through centipede or something. That's. I mean, this is not bad. I'm not saying, whoa, this is a really, botched version. it's just not as close to the arcade as the VIC-20s is. The Invaders are like animating too fast or something compared to the sounds. Yeah, it's decent. It's decent, but it's not the VIC-20 version. And I'm not saying that in a positive manner. Anyway, Avenger on the C64. Here we have Space Invaders on the Super NES. Now, I'm gonna say, although, you know, I still have that VIC-20 preference, being it came out in 1981, this is definitely my next favorite release of Space Invaders on any home console. Now, what I love is they have a drawn moon background resembling the arcade. I mean, that is great that they had. It's not the usual black screen. They actually made an attempt of putting the background in the same one that's in the arcade. And I applaud that. I applaud that greatly. This has all these are actually the Space Invaders Deluxe sounds, but these are the actual Taito sounds. If you had seen the arcade machine released by Taito, the joystick, that's where those sounds came from. Of course, this one has beautiful resolution. The resolution is incredible. That is certainly top-notch. And again, we have all the graphics drawn just right. This is not an emulation. This is an actual reprogram. I would have loved to see a port of Space Invaders Deluxe. Unfortunately, we never got to see that. I know you can get, you know, the emulation and whatnot. You know, main emulators would have that, yes, but there wasn't a cartridge release or anything like that of Space Invaders Deluxe. I wish there was. But this version for the Super Nintendo, close number 2 to the VIC-20 version in my book. Now we switch over to the Space Invader clone mode. We have on the Magnavox Odyssey 2, we have Alien Invaders Plus. These are for those companies that want to try to beat the licensing charge and make their own spin-offs. But let's start with Alien Invaders Plus. Now, it's different. I wouldn't... Space Invaders-ish, I guess. Just trying to get that look. I do see there's some differences. You got that, you know, first row of guys are shields. The ones on the top are the actual invaders. Those cannons there, the yellow things, are what actually fires. And that mothership drops some bombs at you too. And then when you get killed, you reclaim your life with one of those shields. That's what I've been doing. It's a clone of sorts, I guess. It's okay. I know this came out the same year as Space Invaders. They were neck and neck under competition, Magnavox and Atari. Of course, Atari's was the real, genuine Space Invaders, and this is, you know what I mean? You get hit, you go under the shield, and then it turns you back into a ship, I guess. I mean, it's okay. It's not really gonna satisfy my thirst for Space Invaders. I mean, I don't find this to be a bad game, but if I'm a Space Invaders fan, hey, I like this, but I still want Space Invaders. This ain't it. And finally on the list for this episode, my retro game fans, we have the Intellivision, Mattel Intellivision's Space Armada, as being played through emulation on the PlayStation 2. Let's start it up. Here we have Space Armada on the Intellivision, and wow, this is bad. I have to tell you, I am not even a little impressed. The controlling is terrible. The aliens here, the invaders, are so big that they do literally take up the entire screen. They're already at the bottom and the game just started. What? I mean, this is really a shoddy version of Space Invaders, and this is what you get for not licensing the actual title, but maybe they couldn't do it, because if this is their version of Space Invaders, this is bad, I have to say. It's not going to get too many chef hats for me. No, I'm afraid the Atari cold creamed this version. Damn! Space Armada! Here it is in its splendor. I mean, this is ugly. This is an ugly game. The controlling is so slidey, and I'm not even using an Intellivision sliding controller.
You serious?
I don't want to say it's garbage, but it's pretty damn bad in my book. I mean, the fans of Space Armada, great, I'm happy for you. It's just, it ain't gonna be in one of my favorites, I hate to tell you. Space Armada, I'm Armada out of this. What do you say, my friends? Let us begin with the Chef Hat Reviews! Hope you've enjoyed this particular episode and every episode of the series. But I hope you've enjoyed this, and if you have, please smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. Please, I ask you, tell your friends, tell your co-workers, tell your comrades, tell your family, tell your ex-family.
The fuck?
To watch Chef Steve's Retro Game Rundown. And they won't be disappointed. They're gonna thank you for it. They're gonna thank you for turning them on to this series. Because they themselves, their retro gaming fans, are gonna see the benefit and the value and the entertainment factor that comes from this beloved series. So anyway, my friends, until the next episode, soon to come. Keep on